Let's check out the bracket here before we break that down a little bit further, because we have our winners finals all set at this moment. It's going to be Ling versus Rockman, and then our losers quarterfinals are ready to roll here. But Ling versus Rockman, a Peach versus a Steve. And what's interesting is both of these competitors came through on the Challenge Cup. So it wasn't necessarily winning the first time through in a qualifier, EE. Sometimes you got to stay through it. We'll get to Ling and Rockman here in just a second, because we're going to start on the losers quarterfinals. Zap versus Era. Looking at this on paper here, what did we see from Zap and Era earlier, and what's something that you feel like EE that they want to apply here as they get set to make their way through the loser side of the bracket?
Well, if you're Era, you're not discouraged at all. You're thinking, okay, I mean, it basically came down to a coin flip within those 3 games that ended up losing to, or those 2 games ended up losing to Rockman. So that's not so bad. If you're Zap, however, you're a little upset because you understand that your Bowser Jr., your bread and butter character, the character you've historically made very popular among a lot of Smash players, Jordan, just didn't have it. Just did not have it in Winter Semi. So you kind of got to wonder, okay, do I put some more faith back in the Bowser Jr., the character I walk around with a plushie of, or is the Luigi the character I elect to just kind of start off with? It's definitely it's a little tough to decide.
I'm trying to see if we have a visual of the plushie, because sometimes you might need to take the plushie to the back room, have a little talk, say, hey, cool down, have some orange wedges, have some water. We'll get you back in the game here pretty soon.
Can I give
What's
you a secret?
Yeah.
Boris, Zap's father, has the Bowser plushie on the other side of the camera.
Okay.
Holding almost like a cheerleading kind of thing.
I love that right
So
there.
smart.
You love to see it as well, too. You know, had that Luigi and looked like they had a chance there, and there we go.
Put it, okay.
Hey, there you go.
Well, earlier,
your secret is ruined, my friend. That's why I don't tell secrets. Unbelievable. All right, we've got Zap versus Era. This time they're both fighting for their tournament lives as we begin losers quarterfinals, and already it is Era out to a shocking start, racking up nearly 75% here, Vicky.
Yeah, you're on Talented City too, so you got all the space so that way you could be able to get the materials that you need if you're looking at Steve. But also, I like the aggression that we're currently witnessing from Zap. Sometimes you have no other choice than to close in that gap to prevent Era from setting up with those blocks.
It feels like Zap was able to settle down just a little bit after that opening onslaught, but Era doing a fine job of buying themselves some time to craft some materials, and really, EE, we're not seeing that aggressiveness from Zap to try and put that pressure on Era.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see Zap almost a little bit more reserved in some of the offensive decisions, right? Like, we know that Zap just loves to rush people down and just overwhelm them, but maybe just wanted to settle in a little bit. Steve, obviously one of the more dangerous fighters out there, as you see with that back air, able to take and claim that first stock. But you know what? This is still going to be a very competitive losers quarterfinals, so I'm not willing to count anybody out just yet.
Era goes ahead and picks off the first stock of Zap, and now Zap doing an excellent job of trying to respond. And here it is, Vicky. Finally, a little bit more aggression from Zap, and rewarded for that.
Yeah, you saw it with the combination of the clown cannon. You saw the back air attempts coming in as well from Zap. You have to get aggressive, but you're also seeing a lot more in this matchup. The Mecha Koopa is really helping out closing that space, but also forcing Zap to do something. But look at all this damage, taking Zap all the way to the top from Era.
It's the clown cart that's getting juggled this time around, and so it evens things up at about 2 stocks. And now Zap feels like they've kind of got a beat on the pace of this here, EE, and understands that they got to step on the gas just a little
100%, yeah. Especially, you know, obviously going to put up those blocks as a foundation to enable them to just mine a little bit for better materials, and for good reason. You get that gold-empowered minecart, you get that diamond. Well, you already know that's just a long day for the opponent for sure. But nonetheless, Zap not being deterred, and I like that. But the footstool anvil going to continue to provide a lot of good opportunities for Era to just keep control of this stage.
And this is what's tough right now, Vicky. Era has all sorts of time to craft these materials, and every time that Zap tries to recover, it's perfectly read by Era just to clear out more space. And now Era has everything they need to dominate here with 1 stock left against Zap, and they are fully taking control of this set.
Gotta have to give props, though, to Zap, who was able to survive for so long, though, on that second stock before getting inevitably KO'd there. Was living to, what, over 170%? Still, though, the damage is racking up. And then the back air to try to close things out. Living, though, is going to be Zap and having to go cheekily around the blocks.
There you finally see another stock picked up by Zap. Nice little read, but this is going to be a lot of work with not a whole lot of space left here. Now, all of a sudden, the Mecha Koopa doing a little bit more harm than help, and that brings Zap to 127 EE.
Yeah, this is very scary to be facing a Steve at this kind of deficit, and obviously Zap understands that, plays this character at the highest of levels, but right now just really find himself in an almost unwinnable situation. Gonna survive that, but I like the anti-air with the minecart from Era. Just really having a good beat right now, Jordan, on all the approaches from Zap.
And that's the thing, Vicky. It feels like Zap just can't land safely at all. Can't even get the wheels on the ground before Era's all over them.
And if you're trying to force a landing, you're also just trying to play on the side beyond the blocks in front of Steve. You have to worry about that minecart before Era is able to take that first game.
Era snatches it, and really what we saw at EE, we keep pointing it out, everything seemed to change after they lost that first stock, and now you just got into this pattern of, okay, I'm going to send Zap off stage, I'm going to craft, I'm going to send Zap off stage, I'm going to get some more materials, and it just never felt like Zap seized control in the second half of that.
I'll tell you what, and what's worrying me too is as dejected as Zap looks right now. Looks a little defeated, but you know, you just have to understand, hey, if I still have a game, I still have an opportunity, I still have a chance. There's no reason to be down on yourself. Obviously, you're playing Era, who has proven to be an amazing player in their own regard, playing one of the best fighters in the game. You just have to rise to the occasion and maybe looking for a spark with that Luigi again.
Last time, it provided a spark and a very quick victory in the second set. Let's see if Luigi can do it again this time. However, having to navigate a few more obstacles in the way. Era sends the minecart, followed by a couple of more hits, and all of a sudden, we're at 60%, Vicky.
Yeah, you're feeling the pressure now here, too. This is the potential last tournament game that you have if you're looking at TM7 Zap. And you can see the way that he's able to change around the Luigi, if maybe he can find that spark, but not being able to do attack on damage until right now. Getting that grab is where you're going to see Luigi excel.
Anvil comes down, though, and already takes the first stock at just 104. That was critical, EE.
I got a question that I did not expect that to be a KO, so that's going to put Zap in a major hole, and he's going to have to work that much harder to make this win a reality. But meanwhile, you can see Era seemingly just sensing victory, only 2 stocks away, really trying to apply a lot of pressure and doing just that.
And Vicky, you wonder if you're Zap, why not take care of that crafting table when you see the gold and the diamond sitting there for Era? Now all of a sudden, Era's upgraded to diamond weapons. That's going to put even more pressure on Zap.
It's a lot faster than you may think here, too. You know, you close your eyes for just a second, just to blink, and you may be able to find him with the diamond already, but a beautiful punish with the Luigi uppercut to be able to get that stock.
Times it perfectly. Anvil, though. Luigi has to eat that, trying to get back on the stage. The TNT sitting right there. Does a little bit of damage against Era. Era not able to get out of there in time. And now Zap has an opportunity. If they are going to stay alive in this tournament, it feels like it comes down to these next couple of seconds here, EE. And unfortunately, does not go the way that Zap wants it to.
Yeah, that was a tough one to lose. Again, back-to-back stocks being claimed by that Anvil. Era perfectly positioned yet again. And really, the best means of making the comeback right now is going to be getting a grab, right? Luigi gets so much off of those grabs, just kind of clear out the pathway and just find it, but you have to be so careful at the same time and not take so much damage. That is the thing that Era has been so solid at. It's the fact that the damage output has never put him in a dangerous situation.
And Era doing everything they need to do right now. It is really just their type of set here, Vicky, dictating the control, throwing the blocks up, buying time, able to counter everything that Zap seems to be throwing. It almost feels inevitable here at this moment.
You also see that Zap has been trying to go for some perfect shields here too, just trying to make sure you can get the parry and then immediately retaliate off the Anvil, but isn't working until the unsafe move from Era gets him punished the second time in a row.
Well, it's worked twice. Can Zap hang around long enough to have it work a third time? It'd be an unbelievable comeback, but already in the danger zone at 106. Zap, you've got to play aggressive, but you realize you can't have any slip-ups here, EE.
100%. And the thing is, like, we all know what the win mechanic is going to be for Zap right here. A nice combination off of a grab at that lower percent. However, Era knows that too. Oh my goodness, but as I call it out, oh no, not able to get all of that. Only a measly little 31. That is not going to be enough, but starting to open up and close this gap just a tad bit, Jordan. There's still some light at the end of this tunnel.
There comes the dash in, an opportunity as Era was landing. Zap unable to take opportunity of that as well. So now Era's bought a little bit of space, and that might do it, unfortunately. And Era, excellent job. And we say unfortunately because it was just great having Zap and the family here.
Yep.
But this is a very, very competitive tournament. It's going to be hard for anybody to stick around for too long. And congratulations to Era for moving on. And Zap, a valiant effort. But Vicky, Those Steves, they are just hard to overcome sometimes.
Especially when you're trying to cycle through the different fighters that you may have that give you that opportunity to close in the gap and to prevent either the mining or them setting up with the crafting table on the other side of the stage. Whether it be the potential chance to also use maybe a fireball to force them into shield, it's a lot slower than it is of the Mecha Koopas that we usually get to see from the Bowser Jr. But it also is very difficult when, as Luigi, your game plan, like we heard from EE, your game plan is to make sure you take advantage of Luigi's grabs. But what happens when you can't even get a grab done?
Such a good point. As we check out the bracket after we got done with that first losers quarterfinals. So that'll be the end of the tournament for Zap. Congratulations, though, for Zap for even getting here at this point, getting one of the top seeds. You know Zap's just going to keep getting better and better with more time. That means Era moves on to the losers semifinals. It sets the stage for our next matchup, Armadillo versus Teapot. And, well, we're going to have an interesting matchup here because we saw Armadillo with that Lucario, Teapot with that Terry here, EE, and both of them essentially want to get up close. Lucario's got a few more long-range options.
They play two fighters with some of the most entertaining comeback mechanics. Obviously, Terry with the Go Meter, Lucario with the aura that gets accumulated the more damage you take. I think this one is going to be really frustrating on both sides because, fun fact, these two were actually practicing together a lot, and they were just ribbing each other a lot about their characters as they were exchanging matches. And now they meet right here in the opening portion of the loser side of bracket. It's going to be a fun one for sure.
Certainly will. And Vicky, let's say you're Teapot and Terry, you've got Lucario. It feels like you've got to get those KOs as soon as possible because you can't let Lucario and Armadillo start to rack up that damage and get comfortable and take control of the set at that point.
Absolutely, because like we know, with the comeback mechanics from both sides here, Terry with that Go Meter, though, is going to be able to at least put in a lot more pressure than what the aura provides when you still have all three stocks in comparison, because we know that when Lucario is down to only one stock, that's when the aura really showcases itself in literally size of the hitbox of a lot of their moves, but also what you could see when it comes to what they want to bait out for when you are on that last stock.
Looks like our competitors are almost set and ready, and that's one thing that we've seen here, EE, wasting no time getting in at these sets. You certainly appreciate that. There is zero hesitation as far as what they need to do next here, and the good sportsmanship on display as well, because whoever loses this is done for the tournament.
Yep.
Best of three, losers quarterfinals. We've got Armadillo and Lucario versus Teapot and Terry. Let's get it rolling here, and now you've got no platforms in the way. It is just essentially fighter versus fighter.
Oh yeah, just a straight up scrap fest is exactly what you want to see out of these two characters. Like I said, can be very, very exciting for sure. And I think we're going to definitely see Teapot obviously take the early lead, right? Terry going to put on a lot of percentage and pressure, but Lucario going to wade through all of that and maybe catch Teapot off a little bit. That's one thing that really cost Teapot when we saw them earlier against Ling, right? It was a lot of, okay, I can get the lead early, but I couldn't maintain it. Against Lucario, that's almost essential, right?
It truly is, and we've really seen both fighters exchange powerful blows, and Armadillo able to throw out the strongest one, gets the KO, sends Teapot off the stage, and now Armadillo, you've got a really nice setup here with that one stock advantage here, Vicky.
And you have all that percentage on you too. The rapid hits too from the charged up Aura Sphere. You're forcing Teapot to mix up their landing, because when you are in Final Destination, yes, you can see that neutral scrap, but you also lack those platforms to be able to mix up your landing. Nice little mix up here too from Armadillo to make it back.
Nice little combo coming out from Teapot, and that'll set the stage to be a little bit more equal here. Really nice recovery there, EE.
Yeah, that rising tackle is just sensational to use as a move to just kind of act out of situations like that. So Terry, of course, utilizing that to perfection and definitely giving himself an opportunity still in this match. I like, though, what I'm seeing out of Armadillo. A lot of brazen combos and dedication going all the way deep to claim that stock. That was brilliantly played from Armadillo.
And able to recover just in time as well.
Yep.
So Armadillo, the aggression off stage is rewarded. 2-1 stock advantage sitting at just 57%. Vicky, it feels like if you're Armadillo, just keep on being aggressive. That's what's gotten you here at this point.
Absolutely, and you can even see the way that Armadillo has been actually DIing, directional inputting right towards Teapot, is avoiding a lot of these raw hits too. But Teapot now controlling the entire point of the stage, having to also avoid those big hits from the Lucario with the charge of Aura Sphere with another potential trade, but the DI jumping into the blast zone, costing him that game.
It felt like the aerial mobility and execution of Armadillo was the difference between those two.
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, the fact that a lot of those KOs too came off the fact that Armadillo, once again, just anticipating some of Terry's movement options and where they're going to end up. You saw that last stock, in fact, and in fact, he just decided to go up and essentially just ended right there with the cleanest of back airs. Brilliantly played from Armadillo.
No hesitation. Why not? Let's go ahead and set the stage for our second set here. Armadillo, a victory here will propel them to loser semis. Teapot just trying to stay alive in this tournament. And right now, it's been a little bit of space back and forth, but excellent parry and recovery there by Teapot. And so far, Vicky, what we continue to see from Armadillo is the fact that you want to be aggressive. You don't mind taking some of those hits because that's only going to help you to get to those higher percentages.
Yeah, you are on a smaller stage here too, and there's that directional input that I mentioned before from Armadillo, and that completely cost Teapot stock because you go below the ledge, but Armadillo was able to recover even faster with the height advantage too. And now with that momentum, even when you don't have the aura to rely on, look at the damage output that we still see from Armadillo while still having an entire stock head.
And I'll go back to it. It just feels like Armadillo's winning every single battle in the air, and more options while in the air certainly been helping out. But as I say that, Teapot says, shut your mouth. I'm going to go ahead and even this thing up.
Yeah, that burning knuckle coming through and evening things. But I really hope that first stock makes it on the telestrator with Charles, because that was just brilliantly played from Armadillo. Recognizing no jump down there. That's how I get the first stock. Beautiful job for sure. But again, we are back on even footing right now. Dash attack coming through, and Teapot maybe seeing a path to victory right now as he's controlling this right side.
And really, Vicky, being a lot more aggressive on those landings from Armadillo and following up as soon as they get shielded. If you don't get it the first time, why not try to respond fast the second time? And now you've got that go mechanic. This is where you can shine if you're Teapot.
Yeah, especially seeing Armadillo jump a lot. You have to be careful. Try to find your landing first. The crack shoot, so that way they can actually reposition and avoid the aura spheres. But I'm thinking maybe a power geyser as we see Armadillo jumping a lot, but you have to recover first. The crack shoot, again, to be able to make your way back.
Here's an opportunity for that power geyser who decides to go off stage, still sitting there, can utilize it, doesn't time it just in time. Armadillo rolling to the opposite side, the change up there, EE.
For sure, Chris trying to get out of danger. I actually thought there was an opportunity to get a force palm, considering that is a command grab, but I'll tell you what, just at that kind of percent, is able to tap that stock into oblivion and ever so slightly taking the lead for Armadillo.
And Vicky, Teapot didn't even get one of the super specials out. And that is honestly, I will hold everything I'm saying right there, because Armadillo off the stage, making highlights, easily moves on to loser semis. My goodness, Vicky.
That was explosive from the Lucario, but the fact that he didn't let him get the chance is even bigger. Forget the go meter. You're not even afraid of that. On that last stock, getting that KO in such an explosive way of also pressuring when you know that they're off stage and they can't really recover horizontally. You got that back air out instead to wait for them.
Lucario basically just said, stop.
Yeah.
Just stop. I got this. I'm going to take care of business. And really just the options in the air was the difference. Terry obviously has a lot of great grounded items and opportunities, some combos, but not as much in the air as Lucario.
Yeah, I mean, it's the fact that, Lucario, again, it's just such an interesting mechanic. Like, the more damage you take, the better you get. I mean, those hitboxes continue to increase. Those recoveries become the beat. You can go a little bit more deeper and be a little bit more bold with your edge guarding, as we saw right there. I mean, that was a double back air to despair, okay? That's basically what I saw, Jordan. I'm sorry, okay? It was crazy. Well done from Armadillo. That kind of confidence will propel you far.
Let's check out the updated bracket there, as we have now gotten through both of our losers quarterfinals, and now that sets up our loser semifinal. It'll be Era and Armadillo. Ooh. So Lucario taking on Era, and that's Steve. And this is going to be fascinating once again. Obviously, Armadillo has some experience against a Steve in that fight against Rockman. And any changes, Vicky, if you are Armadillo, you were Lucario, things got a little close with Rockman before, but you weren't able to even take a set in that one.
I feel like seeing how you could try to recover around the blocks like we saw before from Armadillo, we saw the potential there, but then taking advantage of the aura that we know that Lucario builds up is going to be key here. And we know as well that Steve has no issue tacking on that damage. Very quick percentage intake when you're on the other side dealing with Steve. But Era plays very differently to Rockman, which is why it was so impressive to see them both face off against each other from the very beginning. It was an explosive first set, but now this is a different beast for Armadillo to deal with.
Lose and you're done. We love the drama that exists here on the loser side of the bracket here. Armadillo taking on Era, who can find their way to losers finals to give themselves just one more opportunity to try and get to grand finals. And so far, it's Armadillo playing the aggressor. And that's what I was going to ask you, EE. Against these Steve fighters, it feels like you just have to close the gap and not give them any time.
Yeah, Steve is a fighter that really he almost relies on you being afraid to an extent, right? Like, you know, being comfortable with putting some space between. But no, when you're able to get in those situations where you can close that gap, you're going to get rewarded so hard, especially in the case of Armadillo, because he already knows, you know, his best option is going to be, you know, when I'm at those higher percentage, that's when I'm really going to let some of these back airs rip, these forward smashes rip. That is going to be my bread and butter to victory. You see him already going for the big time setups and commitments already. We're barely even a minute into this thing.
And so far, Armadillo had control of this. Era was able to get back into this one, and now all sorts of time here. Vicky, that's what you're trying to avoid if you are Armadillo, giving Era that space just to build up their strategy.
Which is where that Aura Sphere comes into place, right? Then you have the rapid hits from the Aura Sphere, the multi-hits, as well as trying to break through those blocks, but then finding yourself with the big spacing that you have after building up some of that aura from that first stock, while also avoiding getting ledge kept here. Huge ledge play from an Era to prevent the recovery from Armadillo.
Perfectly read, and then how about the grab into the anvil coming down? Era in full control at this moment and has all those resources ready to go. So EE, now Era can play a little bit more aggressive here.
Oh, 100%. And Era, you know, just understand, like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give you that percentage I'm sure you're looking to have. However, I'm going to continue to put myself in a situation where if I'm up so much as that double team ends up whipping, it's not really going to make much of a difference for you. Complete control on the part of Era. This is what we love to see, the down smash, the blocks, everything but the kitchen sink being thrown out right now to Armadillo.
The down smash on the ledge has been effective. Armadillo somehow able to fight through and pick up the KO, but not before sitting at nearly 100% at the second stock for both these fighters here. And Vicky, if you're Era at this point, you got to craft a couple of more materials because now you've spent most of what you have.
Like you said, yeah, you see it right there actually, and not really having that space because you see Armadillo taking full advantage of those extended hitboxes from the aura. Look at the damage output here now too, avoiding the anvil, jumping right through to sneak in with a back air.
And this is what you're seeing from Armadillo. The execution at high percentages to get right back into this. The grab, the back throw, nearly takes the lead. Misses the opportunity to read it there. Era able to throw up a couple of blocks, but now you see that force bomb has so much range here, EE.
Absolutely. One of the benefits of that aura continuing to increase. Again, those hitboxes get bigger and bigger, and you become even more of a threat. The aura sphere not quite going to be enough to claim the stock just there. Tried to hit it with the double team. That would have been very slick, but how about the rising up air to close that out? Armadillo pulling ahead down the stretch.
Now it feels like, Vicky, Armadillo, you got to be able to connect on a couple of hits here. You got to build yourself that lead. You got a one stock advantage. Make it count. Double team coming out. One more hit, trying to close it out. Armadillo, unbelievable as they take the first set against Era.
Can we talk about the cheeky hits off the counter? Armadillo was ready for that minecart, unfazed. Taking a sip of water to stay locked in here too because Armadillo is here to play.
Very impressive. EE, it felt like Era had taken control of this, but Armadillo just rode that comeback mechanic, that aura, all the way to take those final two stocks, and that was impressive just how they were able to dictate the pace of play and then really put so much pressure with the aggressiveness.
Foot on the gas, relentless, did not give Era a chance to even try and get back at that. It's something to be said when the last 15 seconds can be a highlight reel in and of itself.
All right, small stage here. So buckle up, it's gonna be wild here, and all of a sudden, Era's the one coming out saying, listen, I'm not gonna waste any time, 53% in under 10 seconds, Vicky.
And off of the Enderman skin swap right here too, right? Having to make a statement already. The potential last chance opportunity for Era, but these walls are also going to be very important to know, as we know Lucario going to be able to get that wall jump and then maybe sneak in a few back airs too.
Era right now trying to do the ledge trap. That down smash has been so effective in that previous set, but now it feels like Armadillo's finding out the way to work around that. Now they're just both fighting for stage control, and oh, the out of shield grab lag gets paid and punished by Armadillo, takes the first stock.
And the fun thing about that too, Armadillo 100% baited that grab. You could just tell by the movement and the positioning Armadillo put himself in, and that's so smart because again, stage like Yoshi's, we know those smaller blast zones can be very detrimental to a character like Steve, who right now on the receiving end of a lot of pressure from Armadillo and that Lucario.
And Vicky, those grabs coming out from Era just seem so risky because the lag time at the end of it, we've seen Armadillo severely really punished a couple of times now.
Absolutely, and something else to manage is the amount of momentum that you're carrying when you're charging up your Aura Sphere. You could try to jump away and then turn around and charge that up, and it could really increase your momentum in space. But sneaking in a punish out here to claim that first KO is going to be big with the way that Armadillo has been really taking advantage of these leads.
And you saw Era able to come back with that down air. That anvil was so effective there at that moment. Now it's just going to be a matter of, can Armadillo close the gap a little bit more, keep Era busy. Era's able to buy an opening here. EE mine some more materials. That's going to be huge for them.
It will be if they can get back on the stage unchecked, right? That is the one thing Armadillo has been doing such a sensational job at. You're not getting a chance to get any kind of setups, but I'll tell you what, the setup we've grown accustomed to is that minecart being absolutely obliterated by the double team from Armadillo.
It's worked twice now in the last 2 sets for Armadillo. Armadillo, light is at the end of the tunnel trying to fight through it. However, Era wants to put a few blocks in the way and force a game 3. And now it's Armadillo sitting comfortable. And Vicky, at these critical moments, if you're Armadillo, what's going through your mind as you try to make sure you can close this out?
The quick adaptation. We hadn't seen those double team counters against Armadillo set versus Rockman when Rockman was playing against Steve here. So that's going to be huge as Armadillo is feeling way more in control, looking at this last stock while licking his lips.
Armadillo. So close right now. Double team misses on the minecart once again. Feels like Era's kind of figured that out. Up smash is gonna get absolutely punished. Tried to scoop. There was nothing in the bucket there, EE.
And did you see how Armadillo waited for Era to swing right there, thinking a potential punish was awaiting, but no, it was the bait that led to the up smash and leads to a 2-0. Brilliantly played there from Armadillo. Just going, and that's really impressive too, because he had to go back-to-back on matches right there, from quarters to semis. That was solid.
Sometimes you just want to keep the momentum going, but Armadillo and Lucario all of a sudden flexing some muscle here, Vicky. And now, if you're Armadillo, you can catch your breath for a second. You're in losers finals. You're going to wait and see who you play here next. But to me, it just feels like that Lucario and being able to just be that much more aggressive, but punish everything. The reads were excellent from Armadillo there.
Sometimes it's about making a statement. Just doing nothing and baiting out certain opportunities that we saw from Armadillo was what presented a lot of these KOs to Armadillo there at the very end. Even empty hopping and waiting out on a potential punish is the best way to just wait impatiently and then follow up to claim that victory.
All right, I know Charles saw a lot of highlights there. Let's send it to him. Charles, what do you got for us?
All right, Jordan. Well, of course, I had to pull some of the action from Teapot versus Armadillo, 2 very explosive characters, and we actually just had Armadillo do something amazing here. Now we're going to rewind it a little bit back, and I just want to explain some of the recovery options here for Lucario. Lucario has a lot of different mechanics, like the Aura combined with the Rage, and the Aura actually helps all of Lucario's special moves, so really good stuff here. Armadillo actually charges the Aura Sphere, which he will use very recently after this clip here, after the recovery. So just gonna sink down, charge the Aura, and then go ahead and go for the extreme speed in a high fashion on top of the platform here. So we'll go ahead and play it. And this is really great because Terry doesn't have that much mobility. So because of that, able to get onto the other side of the stage, which a lot of characters can't do when recovering. So great stuff on Armadillo, utilizing that Aura and the extreme speed. Then utilizes the Aura Sphere to go ahead and beat out Terry's projectile, that power wave, right? And because of that, Armadillo gets a great setup into this neutral air shield pressure, which we can go ahead and play the clip here. And then because of this first hit, now Lucario's neutral air has 2 hits, so when you go for the parry, you need to go ahead and parry both hits. But because of that, second parry did not come through, right? So Armadillo is going to get a full combo here and then sets up for an amazing edge guard. So we'll go ahead and play the clip here. And after this back air, now Lucario sets up very well here. Armadillo wants to sink down low, and in this situation, Teapot is put into a scenario where you have to kind of guess if your opponent is going to jump and be aggressive at you, right? Because Armadillo has that double jump on deck, can go ahead and utilize the double jump back air, and Lucario's back air is so powerful, especially with this amount of rage and aura. And when the blast zone is, you're already so close to the blast zone, Teapot is in threat of losing that final stock. So Armadillo does an incredible job of sinking low and just positioning the double jump back air in a way that Teapot really didn't expect it. So we can go ahead and play out the rest of the clip here, and just very well executed coming out from Armadillo. And these players are playing so on point. I can't wait to see the rest of the tournament.